Pantry, and today I am in the canning book, and I've been wanting to make this for a while. I've told you guys I was going to make split pea and ham soup, and I smoked a ham yesterday on the big green egg, and so that's what I'll be using. It's going to be a smoky, delicious split pea and ham or habitant soup. I'm getting the guidelines of the recipe out of the complete book of home preserving. So this is one of my favorite canning books. It's on page 403, and the recipe that they have in here only makes 2 quarts. I always double it, and I put 4 quarts of soup on my shelf. So that's what I'm gonna do. I've already got my carrots cut up, my onions. I add a little bit more onion because I like it. I'm gonna make just a hair over the recipe doubled because I'd like to have it for dinner tonight. So I want some to go in a bowl, and this, if you follow that recipe, it's exactly 4 quarts, nothing more, nothing less. So I've got my split peas here. I've already sorted these. These are sorted and rinsed and dried and put in these containers. I don't store my split peas dirty because I don't want to have to mess with it when I open them. So I just dropped. Anyways, so the first thing to do is you're gonna cook the peas down, and they don't take that long. In this container, I've got air in this container. In this stock pot, this is a 12-quart stock pot, I have 18 cups of water with 4 tablespoons, well, shy tablespoons of better than bouillon, to just give it a little bit more flavor. Then that's my salt content with the ham, and that's it. I don't add any other sodium to it. I'm not gonna cut up my ham until I'm ready to add it. So you're gonna cook your peas down. If you need to get in there with a stick blender, you will, and then you're gonna add the veg, do another half hour, and you're ready to jar it up. I'm using my small All-American canner. It's a 10.5. I'll try to leave a link down below. It's my favorite canner because I can do 4 jars, 4 quarts, lickety-split, done. I don't have to lug a big heavy canner if I don't want to. All right, guys, let's get started. Want to? I gotta add these peas. So literally, whoops. The recipe calls for 2 cups of peas for the single recipe. So you're gonna want 4, that's 2. I'm barely gonna have enough. 3, 4, and then my excess is another cup. Done. Okay, now it's time to fill my modular mate back up with fresh split peas from the grocery store when they have the bulk come back in. Okay, this is going on the stove. I'm gonna stick a couple bay leaves in here. It calls for 1. It also calls for allspice. I do not care to put allspice in here. That's just not my deal. So we're gonna put, I do like bay. I'm gonna put a couple pieces and a real big one, and we'll just fish those out before we puree it. All right, guys, I'll bring you back when this is all cooked up. Okay, guys, so I have cooked these peas down. Do I see another bay leaf? I fished out the bay leaves. I did add a tablespoon of black pepper, and I didn't have the allspice, so I just did black pepper and the bay leaf. And now the peas have broke down completely. I don't put an immersion blender to it. I'm gonna go ahead with the ham, and that was 4 cups of ham, at least 3 cups of carrots, and the same with the onion. Now this is gonna cook for another half hour. All the veggies are gonna break down and have more liquid, but yet look how hearty this is gonna be. It's gonna be absolutely delicious on the shelf. So I changed my mind on the size of the jars. I was gonna do 4 quarts, and that's just so much food for me I'd have to have it 2 days in a row. And I don't always like split pea and a ham 2 days in a row. So I am gonna do 1.5 pint jars. So those are smaller servings, and I think it'll be delicious. I can fit 6 1.5 pint jars in my small All-American canner, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I've got a rhubarb pie getting ready to go in the oven. Strawberry rhubarb pie, the first of the season. It always reminds me my birthday is around the corner. All right, this is gonna simmer for another half hour, and
Okay,
we'll be
guys,
ready to
we
jar it
are
up.
ready to jar this up, and I'm excited.
I did an addition that I did the last time I made this soup. I added a cup of Thrive peas, just so you see a really bright green round pea at the end. These jars have been sitting in my hot canner with some water in them, and I just pulled them out. So they're nice and tempered, and look how thick and delicious this soup looks. It's one of my very favorites. I don't have it often enough. And I have made a recipe, for those of you that want to see it, I have done a recipe for myself that literally is soup for one, because you can scale this down. So this is going to, look how pretty. You can see the carrots and the onion and the peas when you open it. So now all I've got to do, I leave an inch of headspace because it is pressure canning, 1 inch of headspace, absolutely perfect. Wipe the rim of that jar. Now I'm using a combination of Tatler and button top lids. I want to make sure though my Tatlers get soaked in hot water. The gasket gets soaked. I think I always get a better feel for it. Little more than fingertip, that's it. And now this is going in the hot canner to wait for the rest of the jars. I should get 6 1.5 pint jars for my pantry, which is beautiful. Look at that. So pretty. And you can see the peas. Yummy. All right, smoky ham. It's delicious. I'll let you fast forward and watch the rest. So much soup, and I probably have enough to do a full canner load. I changed canners to the bigger canner. I have 7 1.5 pint jars in here. I know I have another jar ready, but I don't have another jar available. I don't want to empty a jar for no reason. So I'm going to can this up. And so this is going to can up for 90 minutes, same time as quart jars. So what I did was I just took the jars out, set them on a wooden cutting board, poured the water in here, got the jars back in here, and filled up the rest. So 90 minutes is going to be what we got going on. And I'm excited. Actually, 7 1.5 pint jars of this is enough to last me a year or two. I don't have the soup that often, but now I've got it ready on the shelf whenever I'm hungry. Or maybe I want to treat somebody to a couple bowls of soup. All right, guys, let's get this going, and I'm gonna let this canner come up to temperature. It's gonna start venting out of this petcock, and we're gonna let it vent for 10 minutes. That's part of the processing time. You have to do that. It's not a step you can skip. And look at this beautiful strawberry rhubarb pie. First sign of spring. Anyway, and when it's all done, after it's done venting, and I kind of scoot it out, when it's done venting, then I will put my 10-pound weight on for my altitude. That's what I need. It's 11 pounds on the dial gauge, and yeah, I'm gonna can it for 90 minutes once it starts dancing. All right. Okay, guys, so this has had a chance to come down off of pressure, and I've loosened up the thumb screws and let it sit and just really come down and acclimate a little bit better to the environment. It's impossible to acclimate completely, but I'm gonna have, oh, look at this beautiful split pea and ham. Split pea ham and veggie soup. 1.5, well, that, I can guarantee you that Tattlers are already shut down. Actually, all of my Tattler lids have sucked down. There's little to, the water is absolutely clear. Now you are going to have some separation in the jars. You can see that at the top, and that's okay. That's normal. Once these jars have cooled and I've taken the rings off and I've washed them, you can shake them up and it'll redistribute everything. But 7 1.5 pint jars of habitant soup my way. So delicious. Oh, got another ping going. So I think all the jars have sealed down or sucked down actually. That was the last one, I believe, because all of them, well, this one looks like it might have a minute to go, and that's okay. But my Tattlers all sucked down, and if you're new to Tattler lids, you know, it is an expense up front, but right now, lids are hard to come by, and they're not getting any cheaper, so I feel like the investment that I made years ago is far worth the risk of maybe having a jar not seal now and then. And that's why I incorporate them in, you know, half at a time, or if I do a whole canning session on something that I know it won't hurt to process again. I've only had a few fails with the Tattlers, so I'm good to go. Anyway, 7 1.5 pint jars of beautiful split pea and ham. There you go. There's that last one. Split pea and ham and veggie soup out of the ball canning book. Please follow all the ball canning book or any guidelines put forth by the FDA that's been an approved recipe. This is tried and true, and trust me when I tell you, when you open this jar, you would never know that you didn't just make it that day. All right. Guys, I hope it inspires you to try your hand at home canning. I hope it inspires you to stock your pantry. Even though, do I need 7 1.5 pint jars of split pea and ham? Maybe not, but over the next couple of years, I'll appreciate it when it's there, especially in times like this.